I'm Naimah Latif, bringing you coverage of this Reimagine Chicago Mayoral Forum here on the west side of Chicago.
Your first opening statement, and we will start with Shawn Ford.
Good evening. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. I am so happy to be in a room with the black, the white, the brown, and the Asians right here on the west side, where we reclaim our city and we reclaim our neighborhood so that we can close the door on corruption in City Hall and take our city back. I'm with you. I stand strongly with you on making sure that we must eliminate that appointed school board. I stand strongly with you to eliminate the appointed school board, and I will continue to fight with you for your agenda. Tonight is a great night because it's a few days from Dr. King's birthday. And when you think about what Dr. King did when he went to the White House to fight for the civil rights movement, he talked with the president, and the president asked him, he said, "What do I need to do?" He said, "You have to go out there and you have to make me do it." That's what this group does. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Amara Enyia.
So I want to welcome all of you to the neighborhood that I call home, the west side of Chicago. And because I'm in a space and probably one of the only candidates that actually comes out of the organizing space, I'm going to take the liberty of asking a question. Whose city is this? Whose city? Whose city? Exactly. My name is Amara Enyia, and I'm running for mayor of Chicago. Para las gentes aquí que no hablan español o inglés, me llamo Amara Enyia y quisiera ser la próxima alcaldesa de Chicago. The one thing you have to remember about me is before there was an election, the fight was going on. After the election, the fight will continue. So the question for us is, who stands with you on No Cop Academy? Where's Good Kids Mad City? Who stands with you when they were trying to close National Teachers Academy? Where's NTA? Okay. No matter what happens today, the question is, who was fighting when you were in the trenches and who will continue to fight on your behalf? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Mr. Willie Wilson.
Let me first acknowledge Jesus Christ for his amazing grace. And to Pastor Hatch and all the other ministers who's here and all of y'all who's here today, thank you for allowing me to make a few remarks. Let me also say this first is that I won't lie for your vote. I will not lie for your vote. We will make sure that what we say, we're going to make sure it's fact that we can work on it and we can get it done. One is making sure there's no more taxes on people's home to run them out of their home, all right? And the other one, we're making sure that we will, those who cannot afford a free college education, the state will work towards making sure that you get a free education. Lastly is that we'll get rid of the red light cameras.
Thank you. Next, we will have Lori Lightfoot.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Are we good? I just want to thank the people who have organized this incredible event. The West Side has been neglected too long. I can assure you that if I am mayor, I will be a constant presence, working hand in hand with you and neighborhood organizations to make sure that the West Side is neglected no longer. We have the opportunity in this election to truly speak our values. I hear from people all over the city that they want change. I hear that they're tired of the corruption, and they're tired of certain people getting resources, but the vast majority of the city being ignored. If you feel that way, if you want a city and a mayor who reflects your values, who will be here for you, who will reflect the lived experience of people all over this city in policies and practices, then I'm your candidate. You need to make sure, though, that you recognize your power. Vote for change on February 26th. Thank you.
Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to the question, and we will begin with Amara Enyia.
So to answer both of those questions, it is yes. The issue is housing volume and making sure that we have enough volume to meet the needs of those who require housing. But we also have to talk about the role that aldermanic privilege has in ensuring that affordable housing only goes up in certain communities. This is an issue that I would tackle head first in the city of Chicago. In terms of expanding volume, that means looking at garden units and coach houses as alternatives and possible housing. There's a ban on that right now. I have supported the coalition groups that have advocated for lifting the ban on rent control, because that conversation has to happen if we are going to have as many options as necessary to provide housing for our residents. I also, if we're talking about imagination, believe that housing cooperatives must be a part of the conversation, and community land trusts that preserve affordability on the land. If we do not have control of the land, we do not have control of anything that happens on the land. So in this space of imagination, those are some of the things that I would put forth as mayor.
Thank you. Next, we will have Toni Preckwinkle.
Good evening. As some of you know, I spent 19 years serving the people of the 4th Ward as their alderman. And during that period, we built 1,500 units of housing, most of it affordable rental housing. We used TIF funds, we used tax credits, we used city dollars, we used state dollars. We built 1,500 units of housing. You know, I'm the only candidate up here who can say that we actually did this in the communities that I served. So it's not aspirational, it's accomplishment. I think it's really important that we invest in housing in our neighborhoods. And we've got to have balanced development, not just the downtown, although the downtown is the economic engine not just of this region but of the entire state, but we've got to invest in our neighborhoods. We can't have a strong city unless we have vital neighborhoods. And we haven't, for the past decade, invested in our neighborhoods in the way that we need to. And we need to look closely at our affordable housing requirements for developers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will have Willie Wilson.
This should be good.
As related to housing, we will make sure that no person lose their homes or the homeless because they don't have the money to pay their real estate taxes. The thing that we do today is that while other people are raising taxes on your home, I'm going to the people and help paying for their taxes stay in their home. I say this much to you here is that we have to then set up a trust fund, 15%, that anybody who hit hard time, that those dollars be used to help bail those citizens out and make sure they can keep their home. Lastly, that if we can bail out corporate America, we can certainly should bail out our citizens first.
Thank you. Next, Lori Lightfoot.
I want to begin by thanking you for your powerful testimony. As a kid who grew up in a low-income family and who struggled, we now nicely call it with housing instability, but my parents worried every single day whether or not they were going to have the money to keep us in our home. We are in a housing crisis. That's why I released a comprehensive plan. But let me give you a few details that I think are important. Number one, the city has to lead on this issue. We're down at least 120,000 affordable housing units in the city because the city hasn't led. It's made it much more difficult for community-based housing developers to be able to do their job. The building codes are too restrictive, and we've got to get rid of aldermanic prerogative that keeps us from building units all over the city. I commit to you that I will not allow this to remain. The 3/4 of the city have no affordable housing. That's the reality of the last 15 years. We've got to change this around. I have a specific plan for it.
Thank you.
I hear you, and I see you on this issue.
Getting rid of all the...
Mr. LaShawn Ford.
Yes.
Thank you. And the answer is yes to the mandate. And as a real estate professional, you know, it bothers me so much to live on the west side and see vacant and abandoned buildings throughout the city. It is wrong, and it should not happen. We do not see vacant and abandoned buildings anywhere but on the south and west sides of Chicago. As your mayor, we will eliminate homelessness by making sure there are no vacant and abandoned buildings in our neighborhoods. As your mayor, the Chicago Housing Authority will use its money without discrimination. We will make sure that homelessness in Chicago is eradicated. As your mayor of Chicago, I pledge to stand with you, and I pledge to make sure that the people that are under the whacker and living on the streets on the west and south sides of Chicago will no longer have to suffer. Thank you.
The Chicago Gang Database is a list of 195,000 Chicagoans who have been tagged as gang members. Individuals tagged in the database often suffer harsh consequences, including loss of job opportunities, harsher sentencing, and for immigrants, detention and deportation. 97% of individuals listed in Chicago's gang database are Black and Latinx. As mayor, will you abolish the gang database that racially profiles our communities?
Lori Lightfoot.
Yes.
Willie Wilson.
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle.
Yes?
Amara Enyia.
Yes.
Shawn Ford.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rahm Emanuel is currently pushing through 2 new mega tips that will cost Chicagoans $1.6 billion. Will you publicly call for the delay of any action on these TIF proposals until a new administration and city council are in place?
Shawn Ford.
Yes.
Amara Enyia.
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle.
I already have, yes.
Willie Wilson.
Okay, yes.
Mrs. Lightfoot.
Yes, I've been doing it since the summer. It's got to slow down.
Thank you.
Access to public transportation is critical for getting to school, jobs, healthcare, and necessary services. As mayor, will you reinstate free transit on CTA for seniors and create free transit for youth up to age 24?
Miss Lori Lightfoot.
Yes.
Mr. Willie Wilson.
It's already in my 10-point plan.
Do you want me to repeat?
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Amara Enyia.
Yes.
Shawn Ford.
Yes.
Okay. This is the last question. I ask that you hold your applause until the end. 3 of you have already gone on record stating your opposition to Rahm's current plans to spend $95 million on a new cop academy, and instead prioritize investments in community resources. Given that many are asking for the council to wait and not tie the city's hands on this issue, will you publicly call on city council to halt any votes related to the cop academy until the new administration and council is on place?
Shawn Ford.
Yes.
Amara Enyia.
Yes.
Toni Preckwinkle.
Yes.
Willie Wilson.
Yes.
Lori Lightfoot.
I have since 2017. Yes.
Thank you for your answers.
Okay, so now for the last part of tonight's forum, we have one last set of questions for the candidate. Estela Diaz, please come to the podium.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for all of you being here tonight. My name is Estela Diaz. I'm leader with the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council and part of the Parent Mentor Program. Tonight, we are asking you to make 3 commitments to the people here in this room and to all of Chicago. Those 3 commitments are, number 1, will you meet with the Reimagine Chicago Coalition before inauguration? Number 2, will you include a representative of the Reimagine Chicago Coalition on your transition team? And number 3, will you keep the commitments and uphold the issue positions you took here tonight?
Again, I'm Adeline Bracy of Action Now. And now we know politicians don't always keep their promises. So tonight we're asking you to put it in writing. If you're willing to make these 3 commitments to the people of Chicago, we ask you to please sign your name to this commitment card. If elected mayor, it's right there. You already said those.
Shawn Ford will sign.
Yeah, that's what I asked her. Oh, 1 second.
For clarity, the 3 questions are, will you meet with the Reimagine Chicago Coalition before inauguration? Number 2 is, will you include a representative of the regime of the Reimagine Chicago Coalition on your transition team?
And number 3, will you keep the commitments and uphold the issue positions you took here tonight?
Thank you. So now will Mr. Willie Wilson come and sign? Or will you answer yes or no?
That's all he did.
Well, let me put it this way.
Thank you. Will you sign the 3 commitments, please?
Well, I do not agree with all of it.
So now we're going to ask Mrs. Lightfoot, will she sign the 3 commitments, please?
Hopefully they always keep their promises.
Miss Toni Preckwinkle, please. And Miss Amara Enyia, please.
She's the last one. That's it.
Thank you. We appreciate your commitments, and we will hold you all to them. And to those who made these commitments tonight, we appreciate you, and we will hold you to your word. And for those who didn't, negotiations will continue, and we'll continue the conversations with you at a later date. Thank you so much.
We're here at the Pilgrim Mount Baptist Church for the Reimagine Chicago Mayoral Forum, and we're going to talk to some of the candidates. Dr. Willie Wilson, give us your statement as to what made you decide not to sign the commitment letter.
Because I want to be truthful to the people, to the citizens of Chicago. $25 million is not enough to help the citizens of Chicago. You know, it's just not enough. And then also is that I need to have input and hear from other people as well. But $25 million just not enough money. You know, there are some people who know a little bit more because of experience, that somebody else may not have the experience. We have to make sure we flush it out. But this is just one side of Chicago, and that's on the west side. What about the south side view? What about the north side view? East side view? And so they got views, and they must be included into those views.
Well, thank you so much. We
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
All right. And I'm Naimah Latif with the Media Connection, and we're here with Toni Preckwinkle here at this Mayoral Forum. What was the issue that stood out for you most tonight and your answer to that issue?
Well, I tried in my answers to talk about social justice and equity, and I think that's the lens through which we have to look at all the city's challenges.
If you had to choose any of these candidates, say for a running mate, who would you most choose if you think is most near your point of view?
You know, this isn't a situation where you have running mates. There's only the mayor and the treasurer and the clerk, and I'm running for mayor.
Absolutely. One last question. There's been a lot of controversy about your advertisement, and many are saying that the Laquan McDonald case should have been off limits. What made you decide to choose that particular case to make your point?
Well, I think it's not really about the ad. It's about police accountability. You know, I'm very grateful to the courage of the McDonald family for pursuing justice for Laquan. And I'm very grateful to the community activists who kept this issue on the city's radar for almost a year, the 400 days that it took to get the videotape released. So, again, I want to praise the McDonald family for their courage and the community activists whose persistence, whose marches, whose suits brought the truth to light and got us justice for Laquan McDonald.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And now we're here with State Representative Shawn Ford, mayoral candidate, and one of the participants tonight. And when the issue came up about the housing situation, you have a very strong answer to that. Is there some legislation that you have introduced that addresses that issue?
The gang database?
Yes.
Yes, the gang database. I've been working on that for a couple of years, trying to eliminate the gang database. So that's in progress in Springfield. I'm working with Senator Van Pelt. We've had hearings, we had press conferences, so the gang database will end this year.
And you also mentioned, of course, the re-entry program, those who are included in that gang database, in addition to the immigrants and so forth. What do you see as the first step as mayor in changing the attitude toward those who have been labeled as gangs?
I think we have to have a city that's going to be fair and honest about eliminating racism. That's where it starts. You're not going to be able to do anything if you have a city that's not serious about fairness and equality and eliminating racism. That's the problem that we have.
Well, we thank you so much for your participation and all the work that you've done, and looking forward to your next. As a matter of fact, what is your next step in your campaign?
Well, we're going to be announcing our plan for youth, a 10-point plan to make sure that we help youth be more productive and have a life of dignity and able to work and take care of their families.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much. All right. And now I'm here with mayoral candidate Amara Enyia. Now, tonight was a very specific focus, and in many of the instances, you were told to answer either yes or no. What were some of the questions where you would like to have elaborated on and given a little more explanation?
Well, I followed the instructions and just answered yes or no. What I wanted to say on many of the questions was I've been doing that and advocating for that since before election season, which every other candidate cannot say. So it's a lot of the issues that we talked about tonight. These are issues that I've been fighting and organizing with for years without having a campaign. And people need to know it's those who stand with them in the fight, not just those who will say what they're going to do when it's election time.
So now, out of all of the issues that were raised tonight, what most would you say has been your main focus in making change for Chicago?
Well, the title of this event was Reimagining Chicago. And so for me, it's about putting forth a vision of what that Chicago could be, not just rehashing the issues. Those of us who've been on the ground know the issues. We've been fighting and advocating on these issues for years. So my concern and my focus has been what we've always done, which is to put forth the vision, to offer tangible solutions, the things that we have come up with that will build that Chicago that we imagine.
So when it comes to focusing and redirecting the financial resources, where do you see most needs to be changed, and where would you as mayor focus your resources and make the decisions when it comes to changing the vision of Chicago?
Well, we talk about equity and the fact that the city for so long has disinvested in many neighborhoods, has not invested in large parts of the city and large parts of its population. So the start is really addressing the structural inequities that are built into how the city operates. So when I talk about directing investment to the neighborhoods, it's with the same intentionality that the city directed investment to downtown. Because the understanding is not pitting downtown against the neighborhoods, but showing that we're all in this together. And when we ignore the neighborhoods, the entire city suffers, which is why the city is not as strong and as great as it could be. So until we change that worldview, that paradigm that says that all of the investment has to go in the downtown area or in the areas that are more affluent, the city as a whole will continue to suffer. And that cuts across every policy area, from the economy to education to housing. Everyone here is talking about the inequities in Chicago. It's a justice issue. And it's not that we are trying to take from others. It is that the only way we can be a truly great city is if we recognize those inequities and right those wrongs. And that requires intentionality and investing in those communities and in those people.
So one last question for those voters who say, well, she sounds great, but she has no governmental experience. What would you say to that?
I actually do have governmental experience. I've worked at the top levels of government right here in Chicago, but more importantly, I also have public sector experience. I have executive experience as a nonprofit executive right here in the communities, and most importantly, I have grassroots organizing experience. I'm actually the only candidate in the race that has a level of experience from top to bottom, but also the right values and the legitimacy by not being weighed down by the establishment, by the baggage of corruption, by the status quo that has ruled this city for decades. I carry none of that stigma, none of that weight. So you need someone who has the competency, the background, and the right values, who has also the vision and the commitment to build the kind of city that we deserve. And that's what I represent, that's what my campaign represents.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us tonight.
Thank you.
All right. And I am Naimah Latif with the Media Connection, bringing you coverage of this Reimagine Chicago Mayoral Forum.